Well, back on the heath today. We're going to have a little stroll. It's just stopped raining for a bit, so I think that's a good time to try and do this. Obviously continuing on the US versus Julian Assange, and the case continues, and I would like to have a brief discussion of the US coup d'etat that has resulted in this extradition request and the current legal proceedings at Westminster Magistrates Court. The US coup d'etat succeeded in defeating the Constitution, Congress, the Senate by the most violent means and from within. The misapplication of the national security, which was directed initially at foreigners with no regard to human rights or international law, is now turned inward. A disgruntled citizenry at home, experiencing these medieval conditions of pandemic and serfdom. This coup, it didn't happen with the election of Donald Trump, and the junta are ruled by decree with no bar from the Senate, Congress or the judiciary, the Supreme Court. The Pelosi's, the Schumers, the Mitch McConnells, all compliant to the presidential edicts. And when it all goes shit-shape, and the pandemics and the economic collapse, the banking collapse, the housing collapse, the rental market collapse, everything they have done they blame someone else. Whether it's Russia, this week I think it's China, next week no doubt Iran. Well, this all started a long time ago with a man called Ronald Reagan, and every single president of the US since has not only extended these powers in the furtherance of the imperial and the economic dominance of their so-called trading partners and foreign entities, and all this corruption and misrule of law could not have happened, would not have succeeded, had it not been for a compliant media. And in the US, 6 corporations own practically everything, pumping out streams of lies, disinformation, black ops propaganda, and they all sing the same tune over and over 5 times a day. And in the UK, it's no difference with the Murdochs and the paper barons and the so-called impartial BBC, but they all have done a deal over their monopolies, which were once illegal and now accepted as a necessary evil of access and favour that operates in our political and our media environment. Julian Assange case in point. They strip someone of their human rights, dignity, legal rights, and indeed a right to a fair trial. And as we bend the knee to US federal jurisdiction, we surrender all that was once held dear the respect for the rule of law, the respect for human rights, the respect for international treaties, and especially the law on freedom of speech. And as I think of Julian sitting in that miserable cell, the Belmarsh prison, I know that his will is unbroken, as are we, and our love of peace, the law, our fellow folk all around the world. Doesn't matter if they're Chinese, Russian or Iranian. We have more in common with the people of these countries than we do with those sitting in the corridors of power in Westminster and the White House. And the supporters of Julian Assange, the many campaign groups, the grassroots, the commercial ones, must triumph over this darkness, this despair and the chaos we live in. And as these preachers of hate vomit out every day on our TV screens, remember, it's lies. They won't tell you the truth if you hit them at 200 miles an hour on an express train from Liverpool, and EF Press on the Heath supporting freedom of speech, Julian Assange. And if you think the US coup d'etat is a finality, well, the UK coup d'etat, where the neoliberal banking classes have taken your jobs and money, very often to China and Russia and others. EF Press will keep on the beat and catch up over the Friday and the weekend. And back to you, keeping up to date on the 4th of May, Monday, for the continuing hearings on Julian Assange. Well, we're on the Heath. It's getting quite nice, EF Press.